Okay, so the different components of intrusion prevention and detection systems. Okay, I'm going to go through a list here, and again, this is more just for your informational purposes than anything, but we have a couple components that you need to be aware of. We have alerts. Now, an alert is a message generated from something called an analyzer, and the analyzer indicates anything that it may deem as interesting, quote-unquote, traffic, or an interesting event has occurred. So that alert might be an email, that alert might be a pop-up on the screen. I would say it could be a page, but Doc Brown isn't here with his DeLorean to take us back to 1985, so no one uses pagers anymore, so we'll skip that part. But you get the idea. It's in some form or fashion, it's going to alert us that something has actually occurred. All right, now the analyzer processes data collected from one or more sensors, and the sensor we'll talk about in a moment. The sensor basically collects data or triggers data, and then it looks for suspicious activity. Okay, the analyzer is going to take that data and look for what it deems to be suspicious or malicious activity. It could be deterministic or it could be rule-based. All right, so we could just say, hey, if it meets this signature, then it's probably malicious. Go ahead and fire off some type of alert, some type of action, so on and so forth. The data source itself is the raw data that's being analyzed. Okay, so that could be log files, it could be audit logs, system logs, network traffic itself. Okay, it just depends. It depends on the system and it depends upon how it's configured. And then we have something called an event. An event is an indication, as you can see, something suspicious has occurred. Okay, it could be malicious, it could be suspicious. Again, it could be a false positive, but in some fashion, the system has determined that this needs further investigation. So that can trigger an alert or a notification. Or if it's confirmed and it actually is malicious activity, then that event would technically become an incident. All right, just for terminology's sake. Okay, so next we have a component called a manager. And the manager is the intrusion detection system console. Okay, that's the piece of software that comes up on your screen, and that's what's used to actually manage the system. Next is a notification, which we talked about a little bit, but that's the process by which the operator, which is someone who's actually working the system here, they are alerted to an event or an incident. Okay, the terms I have listed in orange are the terms we've already talked about. All right, now the operator, as I said, is a user, could be an admin, someone that's responsible for that intrusion detection system. So they're actually actively working the system. Okay, they don't necessarily need to be sitting there. They could be alerted remotely, email and so forth. But there's someone that's responsible for the operation of that system. And then the sensor is a primary data collection point for that intrusion detection system, or the IDS. A sensor could be a device driver. It could be baked into a piece of firmware on a system, or it could be a separate physical device that's attached to a network that actually collects data. So it could be a separate device collecting data and then processing that in real time.